Hello and welcome to ActivTrades Weekly Outlook. Investors' attention will be turned to two key events this week. The release of the US Consumer Price Index, signaling a slowdown in US inflation, and the start of the second quarter earnings season with major American banks such as JP Morgan, Citigroup and Wells Fargo publishing their results. Let's dive in. The Chinese economy expanded 4.5% year-over-year in the first quarter. The most recent GDP figures for the second quarter due on Monday are expected to show further growth of 7%. Meanwhile, the annual growth rate of China's industrial production slowed to 3.5% in May from 5.6% in April. Analysts expect growth of 2.6% for June as manufacturing activity slows. From a 4-month low of -31.8 in May, the NY Empire State Manufacturing Index increased 38 points in June. However, this is expected to slip back to zero, according to consensus estimates for the July data. Canada's annual inflation rate due on Tuesday dropped 3.4% in May, marking its lowest level since June 2021. A dip to 3.1% is expected for June, while the core rate is expected to slow slightly from 3.7% to 3.6%. Retail sales in the United States in May surprisingly increased 0.3% from the previous month. In spite of rising prices and interest rates, the figures show that consumer expenditure held steady. When the most updated data is released on Tuesday, growth of 0.5% is expected. Meanwhile, the United States industrial production also rose 0.2% from May 2022 to May 2023. June figures due on Tuesday will likely show a dip of around 0.5%. New Zealand CPI rose 1.2% in March compared to the previous month. Consensus estimates are for growth of 0.9% for the second quarter when the results are released on Tuesday. CPI in the UK in May remained steady. Forecasts are for an 8.3% rise for June when the latest data is released on Wednesday, while the core rate is only expected to drop from 7.1% to 7%. Building permits in the US climbed by 5.6% in May. June figures, also released on Wednesday, are expected to show a decline to 1.495 million. Australian employment data for June is expected on Thursday. The number of people working in Australia jumped in May. Forecasts are for growth above 25,000 this month, while the unemployment rate will likely remain at 3.6%. The Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index for the United States is expected to show a result of -9.7 for July, as the outlook for growth over the following 6 months remains cautious. After reaching a 3-month high in April, the annual inflation rate in Japan surprisingly dropped in May. Analysts expect a further drop to 3.1% for June when the report is released on Thursday. Retail sales in the UK for May were up 0.3% from the previous month. The newest data for June, published on Friday, is expected to show a decline of 0.2%, while a 1.7% decline is expected year-over-year for June. Meanwhile, Canadian retail sales, according to early projections, are predicted to have increased by 0.5% month-over-month in May, after a 1.1% growth the previous month. If you would like to read our full outlook, please visit the analysis section on our website. That's all for this week. Happy trading!